everyone, Virgil here. Today we just got the trio, the others being Guy and Eve. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So yeah, we just got those guys today. Sadly, our guest, Lilith, or she, couldn't be here today. But before we get into the meat of the podcast, I kind of have to apologize that we haven't been putting out anything in the past month or two. It was mainly due to the fact that CCP hasn't really given us any information at all. So that was a big impact on us, and we really didn't have any information to go off of. So anyway, you might be wondering what we're going to be talking about in this podcast. Well, to answer the question, we will be talking about our wish list for the MMO. I mean, there's a lot of wish lists out there, but this is just going to be ours, and I hope you guys don't get offended at what we like or dislike, but here we go. Oh, and also we have a few of our members from our guild who had a few wishes as well that we were going to pop into the podcast as well. So to start it off, we'll have our own Lord of Douche, Guy, start it off. So Guy, go ahead, give me your wish for, or your two wishes for the MMO.
Alright. So my two wishes for the MMO are as follows. First, I'll start off with what I would call social gear. And those of you familiar with Star Wars: The Old Republic would know exactly what I mean by that. Social gear was bought by specific vendors at specific locations. They had certain traits, either completely aesthetic, to match the location that they were bought in. And if you were to take that idea and transfer that over to World of Darkness, you would have different pieces of clothing or accessories for various locations. Basically, the tourist clothing you would see if you live in a major city or buy a stupid tourist trap. I love New York stuff, so on and so forth. And the only reason I want that, really, is I think it fits well with certain aspects of the games, especially the theme park or the coffee house parts of it. It also works well in showing the broad number of locations, and it works well for RP. If you have a character who has a certain personality trait that they're really carefree and something like that, and they live in, let's say, New York or Los Angeles, they can just walk around at night wearing this shirt and saying, I don't give a shit. I like my place I live, and this is where my shirt. And I kind of drag that on. But either way, I would like to see social gear. They would have no stats whatsoever. If there's any stats given to clothing in the game, they wouldn't have any. You would have to equip those yourself to make it good for you at all in combat. And it's exactly what it is. It's social gear, man, for RP or social interaction. And that's my first wish.
I have a question for you. When you say social gear and you're thinking about Star Wars: The Old Republic, you had to go out and buy certain social gear and use that. I mean, it really didn't have any stats to it. I mean, it had a little bit of stats to it, but what do you mean? Like there would be like your PvP gear, there would be your PvE gear, and then there would just be your social gear, or should that all be together in one sort of package?
Well, you would know what I would assume if I was doing this, that you would have what I guess would be called the quote-unquote armor vendor to do that, and that you would buy the social gear from either a clothing store or a clothing vendor in these cities, or if it was given the more touristy sort of nature that I described, from a specific vendor. The social gear would have no stats, as I said, but could be beefed up to where they could be used. Because you know from Star Wars: The Old Republic that I bought a specific piece of social gear, and I upgraded it, so I was able to use it as RP gear and still sort of hold my own if I was attacked. I believe that might answer your question. I could be wrong.
Well, I think that what they're gonna do for World of Darkness is no gear in the game is going to have a benefit over another piece of gear. I think they're gonna go for the fashion aspect of the game, and they're just gonna leave it at that. That's my theory on it. Eve, I want to hear what you think.
So my opinion on the whole thing is I have to agree with Virgil. I really don't see them putting stats on the clothes since it's mostly going to be, I'm going to think, a lot of RPers in there, and it is a very fashion-oriented game, and from what they've shown us so far of all their fashion stuff, and they have designers working on clothes, why would they put stats on it? That's my little tidbit.
All right, then this is good. I get to respond to both of you with the same response. The only thing I mentioned with stats was because the whole thing I'm basically basing this idea, or this wish rather, off of is from basically a World of Warcraft clone. I don't want them to have stats. I would rather they not have stats because I think that ruins what a tabletop is, or at least what World of Darkness is, where you don't have certain clothing that's better than other pieces of clothing. So, in terms of if it has no clothing, not if it has no clothing, if it has no stats, I'm sorry. If it has no stats, that works better. Then I would just want a. If you're already paying the fashion designer, might as well have crappier clothing or cheaper tourist-like clothing that the humans could wear. If everyone's starting off like a human, you might as well have some more human clothes like you wear. Like I'm pretty sure a human would care more about tourism from LA or New York or Lancaster, Pennsylvania, than a kindred would.
Well, it could work both ways. I mean, Kindred could wear whatever the hell they want, really. It just depends kind of what clan you play and what kind of character you're playing. Like for instance, a true Brujah, they usually wear what they wore when they were embraced. Like if he or she was embraced in the Middle Ages, maybe he would wear some sort of armor piece or something like that. So I mean, it could be anything. But anyway, let's move on to your next wish for the game. So go ahead.
All right, now we should move on from the social gear to my second wish, which may be shared by a lot of people, or may be completely despised as a dumb idea. I would like to remake, or at least pay tribute to in some capacity, Santa Monica from Bloodlines. Not with the same NPCs, not with the same prints, not with the same, NPCs, not even the same missions or stuff like that. But the general area, maybe the same kind of shops, to pay homage to what I think is what got the next generation of VTM and World of Darkness players into it. A lot of members of our guild, I know for a fact, are into World of Darkness because of Bloodlines. And I'm not sure if this is even possible due to whoever holds the rights for Bloodlines and whatever. But I would like to see, and even if you can't remake Bloodline Santa Monica, make Santa Monica a location. Give us the pier, give us the hospital, give us some semblance of what we had when we first got into World of Darkness. And that's really all I have to say. I'll let you two opine on my wish here.
Have some input. You said you don't want to see the NPCs, which I find really strange because some NPCs in that game are really freaking awesome. Like Smiling Jack, I would love to see Smiling Jack back in the MMO, or some other Anarchs as well. They're really cool people.
I'm sure. I'm sure a lot of people like to see NPCs, and I know there's some awesome NPCs. I'm sure that either people who play the tabletop and people that might be in another guild or in our guild to some level have had their characters influenced by an NPC in Bloodlines. And I would like to see them back to a degree, but also I understand that you might not want to have all of them back. You might want to have the years later, but they're vampires, so they're immortal. But it might not matter. But it would really depend. I'm not linked really to the characters because I'm not hoping for the same Santa Monica. I'm just hoping for this sort of remade shell of Santa Monica. Kind of in the same way Grand Theft Auto 4, you got Liberty City, but it wasn't your same Liberty City from the earlier game. If you sort of get what I'm saying with that.
Yeah, totally gotcha. What about you, Eve? What's your whole take?
Well, since the characters from Bloodlines are, I think, probably not going to show up in the new MMO since they were in Troika's games, and I think, Activision basically owns their asses in the sense of the characters' butts. Um, but yeah, I don't think they're going to be in the game. Sadly, I would love them to be, but I just don't think it's possible to put them in.
Ah, sad, very sad. All right, so I guess we'll move on to your
Hold on.
wish.
Oh, no, hold on. I'm sorry. I want to have Eve's opinion of not just the NPCs, but of Santa Monica being in the game, because that was really the bulk of my wish, to see Santa Monica.
I would love to actually have Santa Monica back. It was probably my favorite hub in the Bloodlines game. Second being Chinatown, oddly enough. But yeah, no, Santa Monica was my favorite hub, and if they brought it back, I'd be really excited, and I'd be like, yeah, this is awesome. Starting back at the beginning, let's do it.
I do agree. It would be pretty beast to go back. I don't know how. I mean, I'm sure it would be updated. But it would be cool to kind of see that hospital in Santa Monica, or see it, or go to Asylum and maybe see what the hell is her name, the slut girl,
Or Golden Ocean's food market.
or that. All right, so
Or the
go
fish
ahead,
market.
Eve.
Oh well.
We'll go. We'll go to your wish, your first wish.
So my first wish for this game would definitely have to be character customization. I already know that CCP has this amazing character creator in EVE Online, which I don't know why they implemented it, just to show off that they could, I guess. But I hope that they bring that over to World of Darkness, and I hope they add, again, we're going back to clothes, I love clothes, but I hope they have lots of different fashion, so I could dress any way I want and be as cool as I want to be. So that's my wish, number one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. About the whole Eve character creator. It's an amazing character creator, and I've even used it. And you guys know I've already used it to actually make my character, for the MMO, the World of Darkness MMO. So it would be amazing to just get that implemented into the game. It does. I mean, even if they use the kind of same engine, and I think they are using the same engine if I'm not mistaken. But it would be great to see that. What's your thoughts, guys?
Well, first off, I want to say something to whoever might be listening. If it seems like we keep going back to fashion and clothes a lot, it's because our guild has been basically taken over by toreadors, and we really have no choice in the matter. But in all seriousness, I hope they use the same character creator, because I believe, as you said, it's the same engine. And I hope it's an in-depth. I really hope they don't cut corners just because they have better clothing. I hope the whole thing is there, plus the design and clothing. I would really love to be as in-depth as they have in EVE Online. I agree wholeheartedly with Eve's wish.
And I'm just gonna give a little wish right here. Let's put some sliders into the game, some scalers, to really customize our guys, make them bigger, make them fatter, make them uglier if we're playing Nosferatu or something like that. I mean, just those sliders are just a large amount of choices that that we can choose from is gonna make or break this game, definitely. So Eve, anything else to say on your wish?
Well, I'm gonna cheat here and throw in that Basilic also has a similar wish to me, and he definitely, you reminded me of it, Virgil, when you said you wanted it to be able to customize, how ugly a character is. He wants that. He wants you to be able to make a Nosferatu and have like different options than if you made, say, a Toreador or anything else. You had different like sliders. You can make them as ugly as you wanted them and just make them so deformed. That'd be so much fun. And same with gangrels. You can make them more beast-like looking or something. So I just wanted to toss that in there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Basilic is one of our members of our guild who actually had a question. We'll say his question, or not question, his wish later on. But anyway, we'll go back to Eve. Well, yeah, we'll talk more on it later on.
I cheat.
No cheating. But go ahead. Say your second wish.
My second wish is for fun gameplay. Like, I play a lot of World of Warcraft, which I'm sorry to admit this, but I do. I'm sure a lot of people are like, ew. But not even World of Warcraft. It's just any real MMO today I've noticed is very lazy. You just stand there, you target something, and you press a button. I don't want that. I want something like not Second Life, what was it? Secret World. Secret World, where you actually had to move around and you had to dodge out of enemies' ways. And WildStar implements that, and I just feel like that's the way MMOs should go.
So you definitely want like an action-based type of game. like Neverwinter or what else is action based? Or like Terra Online. Those are big action based ones.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that brings up one of the things we said back in the past, how we kind of wanted the game to be very Assassin's Creed-like. So that'd be kind of interesting to be able to kind of climb on walls and then jump off and kill somebody. So that'd be very action-oriented, I think. What do you think, Guy?
I would like it to be very action-oriented to a degree. And I say to a degree because Virgil knows firsthand, yes, I said it right, what happens when I mess up the targeting um, and hit the wrong thing. Mainly Virgil, setting him on fire, electrocuting him. That would never win tonight.
Yeah, for
I
my
would
sake,
like
let's
it to
not
be.
have friendly fire.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Let's not have friendly fire. But I could probably get used to an action game to the extent that it isn't, and I might be the only one here that believes that, too much, because there are a lot of players, especially when you're in this tabletop inspired environment, that might not want to have to factor in every single move that you do. So it sort of depends. I am somewhere moving in the middle more towards the action because I understand why it's very important to immersion.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Eve, anything else to say on your wish before we move on?
Nope.
All right, cool. All right, so now I guess I will go. Mine's gonna be a little bit longer than yours, I think, because there's a bit of controversy to my first wish. So my first wish is pretty much about the theme park part of the game, and I think it's gonna make or break the game. It literally will make or break the game. The amount of elements they throw into the theme park part of the game. They need to make sure that this part of the game is not the central part. Honestly, I think it should only be the means to enrich the meta plot and help people learn the game. You know, questing does not need to be there. Dungeons are surely not welcomed. Raids, I mean, come on. We're not like a heroic, magic-wielding vampire who team up with their enemies to fight some ancient antediluvian. Fun that may be, but, you know, making that into a dungeon or a raid just ruins the game. So if they wish, if they want to make it into, you know, something fun, keep it that sandbox element and just have some random public events. You know, back in my Neverwinter days, in the RP parts of the game, they had DMs who would go around trying to find people who were, you know, having fun or, you know, just walking around RPing, and they would throw something out there for them to sort of do, and then they would give them XP or something, something like that. So that it brings that kind of storyteller element into the game, and I think that could be a really cool idea. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it really depends on how much they're going to throw into this theme park element, and if they are going to do this questing thing, there's no way it can be implemented like WoW or I mean, Secret World could work, something like that, but honestly, I don't think it'll make the game run as they want. So what are your guys' ideals on that one?
I have a question for your wish, and I agree with it because I love the lore and I love the meta plot. But are you looking more for as you said, the Neverwinter, the DMs sort of throwing fish for the seals to perform, or are you looking more towards Guild Wars 2, where you're wandering around and go, hey, what are all those people doing? And you sort of stumble into that. Which one are you really looking for?
None of them. None of them really. I had a feeling somebody was gonna bring this up, and I really, you know, I thought about it, and those really big public events, they just cause people to crash. They cause people to lag. It's a chaotic mess. I think they should just individually go to people that are playing the game. May they be in an alleyway, or just walking in an alleyway, or about to go into a basement or something. And a DM or somebody paid to do this could, you know, walk in and pop in a couple mobs or pop in some sort of story-based thing going on. Honestly, I think that can really keep to the spooky element of the game, because you don't know what the hell's gonna happen if these DMs are kind of watching what you're doing and watching where you are, because they can pop something down at any moment, and I really think that'd be a really cool idea.
So, and when you said just pop something out of nowhere, the only thing that came to mind is a much more grittier version of RuneScape's random occurrences, where you get kidnapped by a genie or attacked by a tree or sent to hell by some demon drill instructor. That seems to be what you want, to a degree.
I've never done that before, but that sounds exactly what I would want from this game. It could really give people that individuality, and make their characters unique, and actually make them feel like they're part of the game, like they're special. And I really do think that could be a great idea for them to do, and that'll keep to the tabletop element for the game. Eve, what do you think?
No, I agree with you, Virgil.
Well, great. All right, so you like the whole random, not public. I don't want to say public, but more individual events for just people walking around, and very randomized kind of events.
Yeah, well, when I saw, say, for example, the gameplay preview of Destiny, where they just had random, like, world events go on, where you have the option to go do it, or you can just, keep going along what you want to do. I think they should at least give people the option to do it or not. I think it would be really fun if they had world events.
Kind of on the other fence on that one. Yeah, if they want to keep the game spooky and scary, I think they have to have. I think the people at the keyboard are gonna need some sort of sense of fear, going through them. Like, oh shit, anything can happen if I'm walking in this forest. Maybe some werewolves will pop out. If I don't see them, like I might not be able to see them, but if a DM comes and just pops something down, then I mean that could be a really cool thing. Even if you're not an RPer, that could be something really cool. You'll feel special. I mean, that's just my wish. It's probably not gonna happen, but that's just my wish. So I guess I'll go on to my second one, unless you guys want to say anything else on my first wish.
I want to say that I do agree with you. I think I have no idea overall what CCP wants to do with the theme park element, but they have to do something. If you want to put in giant raids at the hub, that's fine. But the people chilling around in the theme park mode probably aren't going to do those, let alone gather up a group to do them. So I think it makes a lot more sense for them to be walking around. They get hit by one thing, they get hit by another, they stumble into this, they stumble into that. Makes a lot more sense. Especially if they're human. It makes me think about the human line, or rather the mortal line, of the New World of Darkness books, where a lot of that plot is generated by a series of very unfortunate accidents.
Exactly. And I think that if they brought that into the game, this will be probably one of the best games out there. But I'll start with my second one. I won't go into this anymore. So my second wish was about becoming a vampire, almost. And I think, and I'm sure everybody knows that the vampire life is a hard life. So the game has to make it hard. Make people think twice about accepting the promise of immortality. Let's not have a billion vampires running around in the street. It's not logical to me to see just a billion, just like the old Republic did, where you would see a billion Jedi or a billion Sith. It just didn't make any sense to me. I hated it, and it just ruined my immersion. And I think it should be hard. It should be a hard choice to become a vampire, if you want to. And it should be a hard time in the game. It shouldn't be an easy time. If you wanted an easy time in the game, maybe you could stay as a mortal. Just how it should be. If you're immortal, it's an easier life, in my opinion. So what's your guys' opinions on that?
If I can make 2 points. The first one is, I know you played the original Star Wars Galaxies. Do you want to make Star Wars Galaxies? No, damn it. Do you want to make World of Darkness almost like the Jedi class in Galaxies, where you have to do a certain amount of things and stumble into enough accidents to be embraced? The second thing I was going to say, I'll let you answer these both at the same time. I might be contradicting myself here based on something I might have said in an earlier podcast, but when you say difficulty and how you want things to be difficult, that makes me wish there was a day-night cycle. That way you would have an entire class of players who could not be out at a certain time, or else they would be permadeath.
The problem with that is it's just way too complicated and it's not fair because people, what if it's subscription based, guys, and you pay say $15 a month and oh well, I can't play during this time, but I need to do something. I really doubt they'll do that. Plus also the whole point of this game is to be a vampire, is to live your life as a vampire. So of course there's going to be hundreds of vampires running around. I don't see a way around that, and I would wish that it would be harder to be a vampire than a human and that there weren't that many, but I can already see it's going to be a full nighttime. Everyone's going to be a vampire and just doing their own stuff.
Well, my thought on it, and I'll answer your two questions in a minute, guys. My whole thought on it is making it hard as to like if you don't feed, you have some sort of horrible debuff on you. So if you're PvPing and you have one blood point, yeah, you'll frenzy, but you'll have some sort of horrible debuff. I don't know what it would be, but that was my whole thing. I mean, there could be more difficulty in it. Maybe if they're putting the humanity bar in it, maybe the lower you get in humanity, the less you look like a human. So maybe it's harder to walk around in the streets. Just, some little stuff like that. So, it makes people think twice about becoming a vampire, and giving that, making that hard choice because, when you're playing, if you're actually a human and somebody walks up to you and says, "Do you want to become a vampire?" You would have a hard choice to make. You're leaving your family behind, you're leaving everything behind, and I think it should be hard in the game as well. That's just my little thing. And guys, I'm sorry, what was your first question?
My first question was if you want to make the Kindred in World of Darkness almost a privileged class, such as the Jedi occupation in the original Star Wars Galaxies.
Okay, definitely not as hard to become a vampire as it was to become a Jedi in the original Star Wars Galaxies, the pre-CU Star Wars Galaxies. Yeah, definitely not as hard as that because that had to take dedication. That was like years and years of playing to actually become a Jedi. And then if you died, you had to restart and do that whole process over again. But definitely not as hard. Just like a hard choice, just a choice. Like and I'm pretty sure this is what they're doing. So if a vampire walks up to you and says they want to turn you into a vampire, you'll choose. But that choice has to come with some sort of difficulty, if you know what I'm saying. And that could help, bring down the population of vampires. And I think that'll be, a good idea. So guys, what was your second question for me?
The second thing I said was it makes me, and Eve sort of took this the wrong way. She took it as I wanted the day-night cycle, and that I didn't understand why it was in. I know exactly why it was in, but when Verger was talking about the difficulty and how he wanted a hard life, it made me wish that there wasn't a day-night cycle, because that would make things harder. That was really, it wasn't a question as much as it was a comment.
Oh, so I'll just chime in right there, really quick before Eve can say. Now that I'm thinking about it, it couldn't really work because as Eve said, the people with subscriptions that are, let's say they're from, I don't know, Europe, and let's say our server is in America, it wouldn't be fair to them, and if the day and night cycle was the actual day and night cycle for America, actually it would be better for the Europeans, I would think, but it would be unfair for us. So I don't know. That's just my little thought on that. And then Eve, you can go ahead and say what you wanted to say.
No, I don't really have anything else to add. I was just saying it in more of reply to everyone else also listening in case they were going, well, I want a day and night cycle or something. That's why I was trying to explain it. But no, I agree with your point, Virgil.
Okay, very good. And then lastly, I just wanted to say one quick little wish that I think has to be in the game, like really has to be, and this is just towards role players. And I think there needs to be a role player title or a tag that can be on top of our character, pretty much so that we can find other RPers in the field, because there is going to be one server, and it'll be so hard to find these people. I don't want to have to walk up to somebody and try to RP with them, and then they're calling me, and then I'm a fag because I'm trying to RP with them, and I just don't want that to happen. Did you guys want to say anything else on that before we finish off here?
I agree with that. I think we need a tag. Just like I know in again, Star Wars: The Old Republic, I was the recruiter, so I had to literally watch people from across a room or an area saying, "Are they RPing? I think they're RPing. Not sure though. Let's go closer." And I got closer and then like wait again, and that was a bit annoying. It'd be nice if I could see from a fair distance RP or whatever. It'd make my life a lot easier.
Well, now is the time to move over to our next segment, which I think what I cheated earlier with is the wish list of our other guild members, and I guess I'll start off where I left off. So Basilic wants to have, lots of character customization that, like Gangrel and Nosferatu mostly, where you can adjust them to be more ugly or just give them that real, feel of that character. Gangrel, if you want one that's kind of beast and animalistic like, give them some features that are, wild, or Nosferatu, who hang in the sewers and are deformed and ugly by reputation. Just make, add extra boils and scars and stuff. I think that'd be really fun too. Yep. What do you guys think?
You said the sewer, and that brought up another kind of wish. That brought up kind of another wish that I wanted, which was pets. And I would love to play a Nosferatu with like an alligator pet, or like a rat pet that I could just have, carry around with me, or like I can ghoul him or something like that. That would be so awesome. That was just like a little tidbit I wanted. Guy, what do you think?
I would love to have all the mutations, I guess that works for both monsters. All the mutations, all the, I guess you can say, flaws, everything you want. Because if you think about it, as much as people, they are monsters. They're each and every one of them. So just beefing it up enough when you get to the most monstrous of the monsters is logical. It makes sense. And for that to be diminished or not existent would be unfortunate.
What was the next one? I think, Guy, you had that one.
Yes, this is from a member, Craven, and he would like to see a crafting system. Most modern MMOs do have some sort of crafting system. I tend to hate the crafting system because it fills my loot sack with unnecessary garbage that is pointless most of the time. But that's beside the point. He wants to have a recipe system, but he would also want creativity to get rewarded by people somehow discovering or creating their own mixture components. I like that idea, but I have to also understand that World of Darkness would probably be a tad more complicated than some other games that might have that. So I'm not sure we will get member combinations. But he wants to create things like weapons and customizing them with silencers, scopes, special ammunition, and so forth. I think it could work. I think it works very well, considering the crafting skill in the actual tabletop. So to not have a crafting system and different levels of crafting ability again, would be unfortunate because it would take something out of the actual game that it's based off of.
Well, I might have to debunk some of that stuff right there. First off, crafting, when that was brought up to them, or they were like, yeah, no, you won't be able to craft pretty much anything. You won't be able to craft your own shirt. You can't. Well, I'm not sure if I'm quoting this right, but they said you won't be able to sew your own shirt or sew your own shirt. So that is something that might be a little, no, that might be debunked right there. And then the other thing was, you said something about ammunition, and I think they said they're going to be focusing on, they said they were going to have firearms, but they weren't going to focus on them, especially for vampires. So that might be two things right there that are a little shadowy. So Eve, what did you think?
I think the crafting system can be interesting depending on where it's used. Like, say, if you're, I don't know, wanting to do occult type stuff, you might have to craft something. You never know. I don't like crafting in the idea where you have to craft your own armor and stuff like in other MMOs where it's just annoying and stupid. I think that's dumb, but I think crafting can be implemented in other ways, like RP type ways and stuff.
Very true, very true. All right, so I guess I'll
Oh.
move on. Oh, guys, you have something? Okay.
Yeah, this just crossed my mind. I'll say it real quick. I think you can get around the crafting system and still have a crafting system in a certain way. Let me describe it. Imagine you want to have Molotov cocktails. You're a human, you're a hunter, you're a vampire, you, for whatever reason, want to set other people on fire. Why don't you get a bunch of bottles, alcohol bottles, and a bunch of rags, to the crazy Vietnam veteran who hides behind the dumpster outside the strip club, and he will take your items and turn them into Molotov cocktails for you. So you don't have a crafting system. There's just this sort of vendor of sorts where you dump your garbage and he will put it together and give you something in return. I think that might exist, or is possible, without creating this old World of Warcraft style crafting system.
That could be pretty interesting. I actually like that. Could give more NPCs a more, more flair. And, people will go there more often. That could be kind of cool. Give NPCs a more story as well with those kind of features.
Yeah, no, I like that idea too, guys. That's actually pretty awesome coming from you. No, I'm joking. But no, it's really.
Hold on, what's going on today? I've been called a douche, and I'm being undercut, and I don't like this. And I want this to remain in the final podcast. I don't like this. I am against this. I'm not in on the joke.
For everybody listening, guys is usually the butt of all jokes. So, sorry, guy. But
Why
anyway,
am I still here?
And I'll move on. I'll move on. All right. Okay, so I'll move on. The next fucking wish is from Damian Drake, and he said, "My wish is that if they're a standard MMO quest, that they not be linear. I would like branching dialogue options for NPC characters. Maybe I decide to keep the item someone wants delivered somewhere. The quest could change to the owner coming after me to get their stuff back. I would like that very much." That's what he said. So that kind of goes back to the whole questing thing, and the whole theme park element of the game, which kind of, corresponds with what I was saying, where I don't want that type of questing feature. And if they are going to do some sort of questing feature, that they do it, something, they give it some sort of unique flair. I'm not saying in terms of like what the Old Republic did, but definitely something more interesting. So what do you guys think on that one?
If I may, it sounds a lot like the BioWare style of RPGs. And with all due respect to Damien, I've seen what happens when you give BioWare an MMO to make, and it comes out very poorly. And I don't think that style would work for an MMO, one, and for World of Darkness. Because World of Darkness seems to have a very sick sense of humor about it to a certain degree, but it's also a lot more serious, and it's a lot more getting to the point, because you don't want to be hanging around someplace too long for 100 different reasons. So to just be sitting there to go, yeah, I want to keep this. Well, I'll get mad at you if you keep that. Then I'll kill you. No, you won't, and then you kill him. Like, that's a waste of time when you just, here, you want this? Sure. Ka-ching, experience, money, whatever, and you go on your merry way.
Eve, what do you got?
Um, I really don't see him doing it. It's a cool idea. I have to agree with that. It is pretty cool of an idea, but I just don't see them being able to implement that really in the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if dialogue options would really benefit it. I kind of, I kind of just want them to throw the whole theme park element out of the game. I mean, that's just my opinion. I just want it to be all player run. I just want everything to be player run. Everything just player generated content. And I mean, I know that the theme park can help people learn the game and learn the lore behind the World of Darkness, which could be something good to use the theme park with. But I think that's the only thing that they should use it with. And then, so that's a good segue into the next one, which is almost pretty much the same thing. And this one is from Ilya, and she said, "What Eve did best was provide a cool game world with enough tools and freedom to forge your own path in the game. Please don't give us a level 1 to 80 hand-holding quest line / grind quest." So again, that kind of goes back to what we were saying before, that we don't want that type of WoW clone. I hate saying WoW clone because everybody's been using that, but I'm gonna say it anyway. WoW clone leveling and WoW clone questing. So what's your guys' thoughts on grind fest?
Well, the grinding is the reason I don't play a lot of MMOs, because I don't want to grind, first of all. But while I was thinking about this question, I thought about how World of Darkness, not necessarily the game, but sort of that universe or that tabletop playstyle, would mess around with the idea of a grind fest. All right, go down to the sewer, kill 20 rats, and bring me back their meat. Like, okay, you go down there, start killing a bunch of rats. Next thing you know, you realize something's up with the alligators. Like, one, why the hell are there alligators there? And that sort of brings you down into this completely different story, all in the same quest. So you're not wandering away from your grind fest. Your grind fest just evolved into something far more important. Still at level 1, 2, or 3. And I think that's important too, to sort of replace the grind fest with something better.
What about you? Do you agree, disagree?
I hate grinding. I'm that lazy. I cannot stand doing it, so I really hope they don't have it. But I don't really see it ever being avoidable in any MMO or any game for that matter. It's the only way to really progress and, easiest way to actually progress, I think. It's just really boring.
I agree. Now I like grinding only because it kind of determines, the really good players, and then there's the casual player, or the hardcore players, and then the casual players. And those people kind of stick together. But I don't want a grind fest, but I see if they put it in, it can kind of give like a reasoning as to why somebody would play a vampire because they did grind, as to somebody that might play a mortal who didn't grind. But I'm just putting that out there. I don't necessarily believe in that whatsoever, but that could be something that they're gonna do. And that kind of, unless you guys want to say anything else on it, we'll move on.
I want to say one more thing. I want to translate Virgil's last statement for the viewers at home. He is a sadist that likes crushing puppies and rabbits and small animals with a weapon in order to get experience. That's basically the gist of that. He's a sadist. There you go, buddy.
Okay, I see the game that you're trying to play now. But no, I am not a sadist. Well, I'm a sadist to humans, but definitely not animals. Anyway, we'll move on unless Eve, you got anything else to say?
Nope.
All right, cool. All right, so on to our next and last kind of segment of the SaligiaCast, which is our shout-outs to our newest members. And again, I apologize that we haven't been doing many podcasts. So we have a good chunk of people who joined. So here we go. So we have Riza or Risa. She carries around a dead cat, and that is probably one of the coolest things ever because she's a Malkavian, and that is just a beast. Then we have Valdir. He's an aspiring Wrath member. He seems like he's been rising the ranks and being really active. Awesome guy. Oh man, this next one. We have Dash. He's pretty much our guild troll. He's a funny guy. Don't want to get on his bad side. That's for sure. We have Elgin, who if you guys watch the WAD RP podcast, you'll know him from there. He has the Toby Keith picture as his avatar on there. We have Urs or Ursula, I think she goes by. She is an amazing artist, does a lot of great work for the guild. We really appreciate her work for helping us out. We have Basilic, who we kind of talked about a couple times in the podcast. He recently became a harbinger of Saligia, and they kind of initiate the people into the guild. And he does a lot of great work. We really thank him for that. Then we have Vladimir. He is pretty much our token military man, so you don't want to mess with him. And then we have Ilya, she's a really great RPer, and she's really been helping out and contributing to the rules and helping with RP and stuff like that. Then we have Seth. He's an awesome guy. He's got a freaking zombie Winnie the Pooh tattoo, and you can't get any more badass than that. And then we have Rob Sterling, a very long-time friend of mine, and I'm so glad he joined the guild. Then we have Dietrich, aka Nugget. That's pretty much all I gotta say about that, because his name is Nugget. Then we have Cedric. He's a great member of Envy. I truly look forward to kind of RPing with him and seeing what he kind of brings to the table. Then we have Donan, another really long-time friend of mine, back from the Old Republic, from our Old Republic days, and he's done a lot of really cool 3D art. I'm not sure if he wants me to link to his stuff, but he does some pretty cool stuff. And then we have Ballad Braun, aka Bella. I think they call him Bella in chat. I don't know why. Don't ask me, but they call him that, or BB. And I think it was Ballard, but I'm not sure. I think they call him Bella for some strange reason. And then we have Tex, who's simply our token Southerner. And I mean, that's about it. You guys want to say any shout-outs of your own?
I'm really happy all of them joined, and I look forward to RPing with every single one of them. And so far, I've gotten to know a few of them, and they're really awesome people. So we should have more people join. So anyone listening to this, you should definitely join too.
Yay, advertisement plug. But I initiated a bunch of them. But I've also had harbingers recently and been very lazy. But for those of them rather, that I initiated, that I've RP'd with, that I talked to in chat, they're all nice people. They're all good people. But we need more good people. More of them for me to initiate. And for the guild. So join, please.
I like that little please at the end. Alright, so now that that is done, I'll go into the final statement that I want to give before we say our goodbyes, which is about the next podcast. And the next podcast is going to be essentially a tutorial on how to do a character sheet for Vampire the Masquerade, for mortals within Vampire the Masquerade, and ghouls for Vampire the Masquerade. And we accept all those type of characters, mortals, ghouls, vampires. And so yeah, we'll be going over how to do character sheet. There'll be certain differences from the actual V20 book, but we kind of break it down so that anybody can get into it just by viewing our tutorial, and we have a wiki that kind of helps people out as well. So that'll be open to everybody, and even if you're not part of Saligia, so you'll be able to check that out whenever you like, and you can reference whatever you want from it. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. You guys want to just say your goodbyes?
Goodbye.
thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our podcast, and I hope you tune in for the next one. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.